Hello and welcome to our beloved parishioners. I'm Bailee.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is Praise Be to Pod. Thank you so
good.
much for joining us.
That was a good one.
Yeah, we're starting to get the rhythm of saying it at the same time. I do cringe a little every time still, but I think we'll get there. It's just a matter of time.
Just like a laugh.
Yes. Okay. Ashley, what is on your heart?
Well, I have been going really hard on Facebook Marketplace.
You have.
As you can see here, if you're watching on YouTube.
Yes, if you are watching on YouTube, you are probably very confused and maybe a little rattled if you hate change. But yes, it is true. I did go from a bombshell blonde to a honey blonde. I'm doing the old money look. What
she's really trying to talk about is I got us a table and chairs for our studio.
We did.
So we're now on brand. Mm-hmm. And I forced Bailee to switch sides so that I could have 17 episodes on my good side.
Mm-hmm. We both had the same good side, which is an unfortunate pairing. And I got the first 17 episodes with my good side shown, but fair is fair, and it is Ashley's turn to have her good side. So I'm just going to trust God through this process over here.
So if you're thinking, oh, did Ashley get an eyelid lift? No, it's because this isn't the eye that droops. You're welcome.
And if you're wondering if I got hit by a car on the way here, I did not. This is just how I look.
Wow. So I was off of Facebook for several years and I got back on just to tell people about this podcast. But a side effect is I also got really addicted to Facebook Marketplace.
I love
it's
Marketplace.
Like becoming an issue in my home. But also I was trying to get these chairs to our studio. So I was texting Jacob and Gabe, the other studio guy who works here. This is his place.
We're not very good with like the names of men's professions. So it's just like that guy.
Yeah, what's his title?
He's CEO here.
CEO. That's a woman's job.
Okay. So he's
a male CEO.
Okay, so I was texting the male CEO of the studio and Jacob, our producer, because I was like, hey, can I get the chairs in today? My dad's here and he has a truck. And no one texted me back. So I was like, guess not. Thanks, Jacob.
Okay, well, you waited like 10 minutes before.
But he's also a Gemini. They're famous for leaving you on red.
I also wasn't on my phone.
That's what Gemini would do.
Typical.
Because I was asleep.
And I accidentally texted the wrong Gabe from a different studio that we toured when we decided to go with this studio. It was really embarrassing.
Yeah, I was really embarrassed.
I've just like been reliving that trauma. First being rejected by Jacob sleeping. And then second, being harassed on my phone from the other Gabe.
That's fair.
Gabe one.
I feel micro rejections from Jacob every time we see him, but it keeps me on my toes. I think it's because he's young and he feels cool to me.
Yeah.
And so like anything that like, if I tell a joke and I look over and he's not laughing, I'm like, okay.
He's a pretty easy laugh too, so it's like a real bummer when he's not laughing.
It's like, God damn it.
We also gave him a mic because I've gotten requests for more Jacob, so he has a mic now.
Hi,
Yeah.
guys. I have a mic now.
And I think this is important because I think that there should be more male representation in podcasts.
It's just what this world needs. Okay, but what about you? What's on your heart?
Okay, so I think either last week or one of the more recent episodes that we filmed, I mentioned that I was going to a rodeo.
Oh, yeah, because you scared your dentist.
Yeah, he didn't like that I was going to a rodeo. Apparently,
Rodeo-phobic.
women can't have hobbies. But I did go to the rodeo, and it was so much fun. And I brought my friend Layla with, who is the love of my life. And it was her first rodeo, literally. And it was so fun because she kept on asking me all these questions about the rules of rodeo. But she goes into every environment with such wide eyes.
Oh.
And so she was just like, this is amazing. I love learning about your culture. So that was super cute. And then we'll show a photo of me because I think I look really nice in this photo.
Anyway, okay, so we have a mutual trust and obey.
We do.
Today. Last night we went to see Weapons,
We did.
new Thrills and Chills from AMC. That's what they label their horror movies.
Thrills and Chills.
Thrills and Chills
That's
on
cute.
the poster.
That's cute.
And I was chilled. I literally had my jacket over my face, and I missed a lot of the scary parts because I was too scared. And then I had to ask what happened.
I sat next to you, and I was really surprised by how comfortable you felt screaming so loud.
I got shushed a lot from Bailee.
Well, it was just so loud.
So rude.
It was fun. I'm glad.
I warned you. I said, I want you to know I'm very easily scared, and I will scream. Mm-hmm. I think you thought I was joking.
I guess I did. You were a comedian.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I screamed a lot.
Yeah.
And she shushed me.
I did. Yeah. I didn't want like a stranger to, because I could feel that the people sitting next to me in particular were like wound up a little tight.
They were wound up because the person in front of them was on his phone the whole time on Snapchat.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
It makes me so mad.
That is upsetting.
It makes me want to only go to Alamo Drafthouse where they don't allow you to be on your phone. They'll kick you out.
I feel like that should just be like a policy.
I was like, who
across
do
the
I
board.
tell?
Yeah.
Who do I report this grievance on?
See, I didn't even notice.
My screaming appropriate. Snapchat, not appropriate.
I would actually agree because you are being like, it actually wasn't that big of a deal. In fact, there was one time where you screamed, and I do remember shushing you, and afterwards I actually regretted it a little bit.
Okay.
Because I was
forgive
just
you.
like, I think I just kind of like ruined your or what's the word? I was like,
You
Ashley
yucked my
deserves to be able to like express herself in the way she wants, and if she wants to scream bloody murder at this scene, who am I to stop her?
Also, my husband was there. He didn't care. And
Yeah.
he's like really, really strict on movie behavior.
I know, and you let my freak fly when I'm with you, so
Yeah.
I regret shushing you.
Thank you.
But
I regret being shushed.
you regret being shushed.
But it was horrifying. Like it
was
wasn't
very
like I was
scary.
screaming at nothing.
Oh
It
no,
it
so
continued to
fair.
not stop being horrifying. So I continued to scream.
So Josh Brolin is in this movie, and I didn't know that he was going to be in
didn't
it.
either.
And I love Josh Brolin. I have a big crush on him, actually, which is strange because I don't like older men.
Yeah, when you whispered to me another thing you shouldn't do in a theater, but you did. You said, "I love Josh Brolin." I was like, "What? He's not your age bracket.
No,
for
but
the age bracket that you prefer."
No, very fair. But him in like
Thanos.
he's just so great. Like
Thanos?
him in No Country for Old Men, actually.
Okay.
I just think he's delicious. I also had someone recently tell me that they worked at a ski lodge and they saw him skiing there and he was wearing jeans while skiing. Holy shit. That's Marlboro Man level shit right there. That's so hot. Are you kidding me? I was like hearing that story. I was like, you actually have to stop telling me this right now.
I actually think that's disgusting.
It's so hot. What are you
Wet
saying?
denim?
But I think that like, when like there's like always like some guy that like works in the trades and he like has to wear his jeans. Like whenever I go to the gym, there's always some guy wearing his jeans and I just have mad respect for it.
So sick.
It's confusing.
No one at the gym is wearing jeans because they have a trade. They're wearing jeans because they're dumb.
No, I think that they just came from like the coal mines. And
They did not.
Well,
In St. Paul,
Yep.
the St. Paul coal mine
I think
to
that I think they come down.
LA Fitness.
I think they come down from the Iron Range and they drive 4 or 5 hours and they come work out at the LA Fitness that I
Also,
work out
and
at.
Josh Brolin is coming from the coal mine to go skiing
Okay, that's fair. Like I think that
in his wet denim.
I'm just saying it
Vile.
sounded attractive.
Do you know it smells bad? Wet denim.
I
can
believe
smell
that.
it.
I believe that it didn't smell good.
Oh, we are spicy today.
So, a few weeks ago, Ashley and I recorded an episode on marriage and the evangelical kind of like obsession with putting marriage on a platform and also kind of being condescending towards single people. And we left the day that we recorded and I was satisfied
Yeah,
leaving.
I thought great episode.
Yep. I was like, I'm happy with that and how it turned out. And then in the days that followed, we had some reflection.
Yeah. So there's this really frustrating universal truth that, like, when you're speaking about something or researching something, you see it all the time. And so, like, when you're looking for cars and you're interested in a CRV, you see 10,000 CRVs every day, which you probably see anyway, but you never noticed. And so then we have just been, like, tested, if I were to go back to my old world, like tested by fire with all these episodes. Like my mental health plummeted after we did the mental health episodes.
Yeah.
Like doing so much research on all these problems that I knew I had, but like have addressed or like have done a lot of work to get over. Like it just kind of came flooding back, and it's been pretty painful, to be honest.
Yeah.
And difficult. And then the same thing happened with the marriage and relationships episode. Like, I felt like I painted this picture of, oh, you know, I never thought I'd get married again. And then I got remarried, and now my life's so much better than the first time I got married, which is true. But there's just a lot more to say and a lot more to expand on, so that like we really feel like we are sharing our true lives and like our true experience. I felt like fake. Honestly, I felt like I'm just repeating the same sins that have been repeated to me, like about packaging up relationships in this perfect box and thinking like, oh, you can go through something bad in the past, but it's better now. Like I gave that same bullshit testimony that we shit on the week before.
Right.
You know?
Right. And like
you had kind of the same experience, like watching back the episode.
Yeah. Well, I think that like looking back, I literally have in my notes in all caps, I lied. I don't know if I'd say that. I think that like, so like to like what you said, I think that, you know, there is this like, it's really easy to fall into like the same like grooves of like, even if you had a marriage that like didn't work out, like I went through my period of singlehood and then I found like the husband that was the right fit, as if like your current husband is like the end all be all again. And that's not how we view it. And conversely, I think that I, as a single person, felt a lot of pressure to seem really confident in my singlehood. Because I think that like women, but single women in particular, are at high risk of being accused of being bitter.
Yeah.
Or like jealous.
Desperate.
Yeah, jealous of single women, or just like so desperate to or so afraid to end up alone with their cats. So I wanted to really just sound really confident in being single.
Yeah.
And
cool.
Yeah, and I had like I wanted to be like a cool girl.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, I'm not cool at all. Actually, like big reveal, these tattoos are fake. Honestly, like I did go from like a bombshell blonde to a honey blonde, but is it really that different? I feel different, but like when I look in the mirror, I'm just like
still blonde.
Yeah, I think I'm still the same motherfucker as I was before, and I didn't really branch out that much. But I think I just like felt really like I was thinking about like, what if like an ex saw this, and I know he would be just wanting to hear that I'm like a pathetic loser now.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to seem like I just had it together, single and collected. But that's not why I got into podcasting.
Right.
I got into it like to be a little bit more real. And the reality is that like it's actually been kind of hard lately. And in the days that followed our recording, I had a lot of moments where I was like lying in bed and I was having a really hard time falling asleep. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be like, I just can't sleep, because I just felt like I was like maybe not being entirely honest. And so we're not giving it like a redo or another shot, but we're going to go a little bit more deeper and authentic today, hopefully. So that's kind of what the goal of today's episode is.
Yeah, and there were a lot of topics like we just didn't get to because we felt like the episode was going too long.
Oh yeah, that was a big part of it too.
Like the more interesting topics, but we had to start somewhere. So we have a lot more to say, but I think the main thing is we made our experiences come across very linear, and in fact, they're like really nuanced. So we want to give a little bit more to that. The last episode we recorded came across really linear, but really it's more nuanced. So I felt like what it came across from me is like, I got married, it was bad. I got divorced, I was a little bit better, and then I got married again. Now I'm happy. And in reality, like that story is true, but there's a lot more to it. So getting married again to a better fitting partner has brought a lot of joy into my life. But like after that episode, we had a huge fight. And I was like crying to Bailee, you know, like, and that's normal, but I just want to like make sure it's clear that like there's still problems in every relationship, and every relationship has difficulty. I also think like my relationship now, I've taken religion out of it because my husband's an atheist and he grew up in LA. Like he just has such a different background than me, and having one person with all the religious trauma is much easier than having two. And for me, that's like helped regulate myself a little bit more. And he's helped like show me some things that religion's still coming in and I don't notice. Even like being so scared of seeing weapons. Like I'm such a baby when it comes to anything scary because like I've been too scared for so long. Like fears has driven me for so long.
And we were meant to like be told that like that spirituality was like real. And I think we still, at least for me, have some element of spirituality, and I also like believe in dark spirituality too.
Well, I've seen it.
Yeah, and so like there's just this like amplified like fear of like the occult and like dark black magic and stuff like that.
And at the same time, like I don't want to reinforce the narrative that marriage is the antidote to singleness or that everything's smooth sailing after you get married. Like that's not true. I think being single is really difficult. I think being married is difficult. I think being divorced is difficult. Like whatever path you're on, like there's difficulty and like a brighter side to all of them for sure. I do think like culturally marriage, being married like helps you get further culturally, but it can have its ups and downs no matter what.
Right. And the culture will like specifically, you know, if you're like a woman getting married to a man, the culture might reward you, but because you are like filling patriarchal expectations. So it's kind of like, oh, like, good job. You're like a good submissive woman. So it's like, I mean, I appreciate the accolades from the culture, but also like, I don't want to like be in a marriage where I'm like subservient and second class. So it's like I would imagine it's a double-edged sword at times.
Yeah. And like everyone's heard the recent statistic that like men are the happier one when they get married.
Yeah. And they live longer than women.
And I think that there's a lot to fight against to continue to like not make that true in my relationship, like that the man's the only one happy, you know, to make sure every week that we're not falling into like these patterns that we've been conditioned into our whole lives. So I just think no matter what, like having somebody in your space, in your life 24/7, like that's not easy on anybody, but also living alone is not easy on anybody. So I just want to like make that clear. I also think there's a big factor of my age. So I got married the second time 10 years after I get married the first time. And 10 years can bring you a lot of wisdom and a lot of perspective. And the jump from 29 to 39 has been big for me.
Yeah.
Specifically like mentally and emotionally, I've developed a lot like culturally and ideologically I've changed. So that's been a huge difference. Like 10 years has been a huge difference for me. And I think when we look at the pressure for Christians to get married and the pressure for Christians to stay pure, quote unquote, until they're married, pushes them to get married very young. And I think that is a huge disservice to them and whoever they marry and whatever kids they have. Like it just kind of starts this cycle of more difficult relationships.
Yeah.
And I think some people can get lucky and grow together and change together, but I don't see that being like very common or very typical.
Yeah. I know what you mean too, because I remember in my early 20s, I was in a long-term relationship with somebody that I met at Oral Roberts University, TM. And I think I'm comfortable saying this, and I actually have like a lot of positive things to say about this person. And I think that like he would agree if he just so happens to be listening that like we just like ultimately weren't a good fit to go the long haul.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of pressures around us with like mutual friends who were like getting married young. Like, when are you gonna like pop the question to Bailee? Like, when are y'all gonna get married?
Oh, and how old were you? 22?
Well, I think that I was 21 and he was 19 when we started dating.
Whoa.
Yeah. I like him younger. But we like, I think that like, I mean, we were together for several years, but like a few years in, there was like this, like, when is it going to happen? And I think about like if we had tried to make that work, that's insane. Like we are completely different people now, and like we were already like getting to a point where like we could recognize that we're probably causing more pain, good or bad than good into each other's life. But I think that if we had like been pressured to follow that evangelical timeline, it would have been a disaster because we both have evolved into like such different people now. And I would imagine that for the people, there's many people who did get married really young, who likely maybe actually went through with like what I almost went through with, and are having like a lot of regrets because so much change happens in your 20s.
Okay, so the average age of marriages today in the US is men at 30 and a half and women at 28.6. So that seems old in the evangelical world. I feel like if you literally don't have a ring by spring, like ring by your senior year of college, you're a loser.
Yep.
So 22, never been engaged. Obviously,
Like, what
you're
is wrong
ugly
with
and
you?
disgusting and probably not wife material.
You probably have a Jezebel spirit. Honestly, you probably
At least a rebellious
you
spirit.
probably dabbled in like, you know, being a liberal or something.
Exactly. So if evangelicals, I couldn't find statistics on specifically when evangelicals get married, but this is even true to some more conservative parts of the country, like the Midwest or the South. People are getting married younger as well. Like we always see this on The Bachelor, like someone from Alabama's 19 and like, I'm just ready to get married.
I know. And there is data that shows that I believe it's between the ages of marriages that start between the ages of 28 and 32 are the most likely to succeed. They dip ever so slightly after 32, but they dip dramatically before 28.
Right.
So I just said, like, if you're over 32 and you're getting married, like, it's still very good chances of succeeding. But it's interesting because, like, for a religion and culture that puts healthy marriages, quote unquote, on a platform and, you know, wanting to set yourself up to go the long haul, you'd think you'd be encouraging people to get married in that window instead of like 21, 22.
I mean, it's honestly not possible if you are celibate. Like, you can't continue to be dating someone for 7 years. And, like, why would you even want to be with them if they didn't want to have sex with you after 7 years?
I mean, there are people who do that, and I want to validate that as well. I'm confused, to be honest, and I don't really know how you do that. But, like,
it would make me feel like I was a beard.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not losing your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just think that comes, like, the pledge of purity and chastity comes before the reality of age.
Yeah.
Like, that is more important in the church because it was shoved down our throats. So we don't need to go back into purity culture because, like, I don't need to go back into more of my trauma to, like, experience it later this week.
I'm also, it's just boring. Like, I'm just over it.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me move on. So this creates an experience gap.
Yeah.
So let's say that Christians get married 22 right out of Oral Roberts University, TM, or Bethel College, or North Central,
Or
in Minnesota.
Liberty University.
Yeah. Bob Jones.
Bethel, like a school of supernatural
Yes,
ministry.
Shit. I've been there.
Any of those like academic institutions.
Yes. Anyway, you graduate with your degree in elementary school education, and he has
Or ministry.
Yeah, he has the youth pastor degree, and then you get married, and then you are 22 and you haven't experienced like dating anyone than this one person. You haven't been able to explore your sexuality if that somehow rears its head later. You have this like built-in companion and nuclear family, which shelters you from other people who are different than you that you could find. It keeps you really connected to your family only. And it makes this like very, very small circle of people.
Yeah.
And this isn't like one size fits all everybody, but I'm just saying if we are talking about the stereotypical young college students who get married at 22 and they're family oriented, then they have a kid, you know, and like then the wife stays home and then they're on one income. Like there are so many things that come out of that.
Said differently, you haven't been properly ran through. And that's character building. I will also say too, and this is I might get in trouble for this. In my observations of people who get married very, very young, as opposed to people who get married a little bit later, I don't know if you would agree with this. I've seen a little bit of a stunted development.
100%.
And if you're listening and you got married super, super young, I'm not saying that like there's anything wrong with you, but just like if you spend any amount of time exposed to any certain type of experience, you're going to like operate differently in the world, in the same sense that like I've been single for a really long time. So if I were to get into a long-term relationship, I'd have a lot of learning to do again, because it's been a while since I've been in one. So there's probably a lot of things I'm going to have to like pick up where I left off on. But I have noticed that like a lot of people who get married really young, particularly if they are in an a dynamic with their spouse where they're being like taken care of, they kind of lack a lot of self-sufficiency.
Yes.
Or like when you're a single person, you have to be intentional about building your community. And so you develop a little sharpness in your social skills, and you learn a little bit more about empathy and listening and, maybe emotional self-control, because like maybe you can come home from work and cry to your husband, but you can't cry to somebody you don't know very well.
Yeah.
So you learn a little bit of like personal,
like give and take.
Yeah, exactly. There's maybe a little bit more of a balance in your communication. And, if you have somebody to come home to every night and talk about your problems, like you might not develop as much of like self-emotional regulation as a single person who like when they come home from work, they just got themselves.
Right.
And they like, I've had conversations with people who are in partnership and they mostly have somebody to decompress with at the end of the night. And when that person's like out of town, they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, you do what I do, like what I've been doing for years. you figure out how to like become your own emotional regulator.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, like when somebody has been like in an environment where their emotions have they've been able to like decompress with someone and they haven't had to do it on their own, it kind of shows an emotional maturity, honestly.
Yeah. I think that marriage at a young age can like make or break you for sure.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said in that, like the breaking part, like I do have friends that have gotten married young and are very mature. Like, of course that's not like one size fits all.
Oh, totally.
But like, I would give an example of myself. Like my husband is such a good cook and he loves cooking. Like he's a software engineer. So like all day he's on a computer and like he loves going to cook after work. Like that's one of his favorite things to do. Like sometimes he even makes me lunch when we both work at home.
Oh, I love that.
And like, I no longer know how to cook anything. Like I have completely given up on trying because like a lot of times we'll go to restaurants and I'm like, this isn't as good as what you would make.
He's an excellent cook.
It's like completely ruined my life.
Well, there have been times where you're just like, Bailee, I'm going through a really hard time. My husband makes me too good at food. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah, because me and my dog are so fat, both of us.
oh, shut up.
Since we moved into that house, my dog can barely make it up the stairs. I'm like at the doctor every week. It's because he cooks so well. Like, can you give me a break?
I just can't.
It's amazing. But like, also I like to just have a hot dog once in a while,
I just can't. I can't create space for this complaint right now.
I get it. It's bratty. I'm sorry. But I would say like I've in this sense and like a funny version.
Yeah.
Like there's skills that you both have that it's like, why would I continue to like sharpen that skill?
Right.
So if I would have married him at 22, I would have never learned how to cook anything.
Right.
Like, why would I?
Yeah.
He's been watching YouTube videos since he was 12 on cooking.
Right. And you do become like, when you are really dependent on someone through a lot of formative years of your life, you become like a passenger princess in the areas that they compensate for. And you might be a little bit insufferable to be around. Like, I'm sorry, like how many of us like have been around somebody who like doesn't know how to do something and they like infantilize, like, I don't know, like I don't really enjoy being around people who aren't capable.
Yeah.
And like I have like a group of friends that are so capable and so profound. So when I do occasionally interact with someone that's like, I'm just a baby. I don't know how to pump my own gas because my husband always, I actually kind of want to crucify them. Is that bad? It's annoying. So I just like, that's the kind of stuff where I'm just like, you gotta like have like you get a little bit more of a hard knocks approach to life when you have to do it on your own a little bit, and it's healthy. And
Totally.
like getting married super young does rob you of some of those experiences. And like there's also so much you learn about relationships when you're married and in a relationship. And I don't know a lot of that. Like, I mean, I have been in relationships before, but like there's going to be a lot I have to learn. But I did get that like single, self-sufficient stuff had done. So I do think that like, I'm glad I had that time.
I
to
would
learn those
also say
things.
that like being married and living with someone, not different. So like if you have lived with someone but you weren't married to them, you've experienced a lot of the same things
Oh, and
as
I have
someone
lived
who's
with
married. You know what
someone.
I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
like it's not like you haven't experienced any of that, or like you haven't grown any of those ways. Like you've lived with somebody, so
Right.
you've had to negotiate bills and things like that together with somebody,
Yeah.
or like who's gonna feed the cat because I gotta go here, and like can you clean this up because you're so disgusting, like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like as long as you've lived with someone, you've experienced that.
Yeah. And I will say I have lived with someone
Yeah.
before, and so one thing that I will say, like being able to like observe the two of those situations, like life was easier than it is now, but life is richer now than it
Yeah.
was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there were times where I was just able to depend on somebody for certain things more. And so I got like chill and lax about certain areas of my life, but it ultimately wasn't a good fit. So then I was also like, we were both, you know, not satisfied or whatever, because we just needed something different. And I will say like it is harder now than it was before.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that person to like hold me when I'm going through a hard time. I just got me for that.
Well, and like it gets old.
Yeah.
Like I can see how that would get really lonely.
It does, yeah.
Like, I lived alone and worked from home by myself for a while, and it's really hard. Like
Yeah.
I had to have something planned every night because
Right.
it's really easy to get depressed.
Right. And I remember during the pandemic, I was single and I had a lovely roommate for the first few months of it. And then afterwards, I lived by myself. And when I talk about that period of my life, because I was working from home too, so there were long extended periods of my life that I didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I want to clarify, I know that people who were like frontline workers, nurses,
yeah.
Totally
opposite.
completely different
Yeah.
experience. That is so much harder. But when I hear people who like were married be like, well, married people got lonely too during the pandemic, I kind of want to punch them in the face a little bit. Like, not because they're not right. Like, I'm sure like it was, but like, I am sorry. Like the difference between having one person versus 0 people is extravagantly different.
Yeah.
And yes, we all lacked for like social interaction during that time. But unless you've gone 2 weeks with literally not talking to anybody, you might not be the person that can speak to that, honestly. And that doesn't mean that like being married isn't lonely at times, but it is like the rawness of being truly alone is so different than just not having variety in your interactions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would say the pandemic and being stuck in a townhouse with my ex-husband is what led to our divorce.
Well, and I want to clarify too that like I'm not talking about like, and I'm not saying that you were in this kind of situation. I'm not talking about like really not good marriages or like abusive ones. People who were experiencing like domestic violence. I'm not.
I was not experiencing that.
And I know you weren't. And I'm also. I don't think that like. Oh, but at least you had a husband.
No.
I'm just talking about like, oh, my husband got annoying sometimes.
Yeah, like, oh, I was gonna kill him. He was so annoying. All
right.
his
That's the kind of stuff I get irritated
farts all
with.
the
But for
time.
people who actually were having like serious downfalls in their marriages, like I can't speak to that, and I can't even imagine what that was like.
Totally. So I just want to move on a little bit. Like after I feel like we've talked a lot about how self-discovery and like that season in your life really like gives you grit and self-sufficiency and perseverance. Like rushing marriage is kind of preached that I think implicitly marriage cures everything is preached throughout the church and church culture. And marriage is just like so glorified.
Yeah.
And I think that really sets people up for disappointment, depression, anger, shame, because like maybe 1 out of 10 marriages do deliver those things. And I can like picture like the ones of that in my life that do. And there are people who got married young and like they just somehow grew together the same way and they're still happy like 10, 20 years later.
Yeah.
You know, and like those are the people that like I love their relationship. I love their partner. Like they got lucky, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think they would say that to me too. Like one of my best friends, Alessandra, got married at like 21. And like I love her husband. I love their kids. And she's like, I just got lucky.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea how this worked out, but it did.
Yeah. My sister got
and-
married younger too.
Yeah.
Not that young, but like young. And I think her husband's one of my favorite men I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
He's like a brother to me. Like he's just so wonderful.
Yeah.
And I have nothing to like say about their marriage because I just think it's just such a lovely union. So there's certainly exceptions. Yeah.
I think the idolization of marriage in the church and of being married versus like the reality of how unpredictable people are and marriage are is a really difficult scenario because like I remember thinking like I did everything right. I did everything the way I was supposed to. And now I'm miserable. And so like it just made me feel like, well, I must be the problem. And I've been thinking a lot because I've had this come up in a lot of friends or friends of friends in my life where, and it's kind of something that happened throughout the pandemic and after in my life. Maybe you experienced it earlier, but I've had a lot of friends who have kind of experienced their sexual awakening after they got married, meaning that they have discovered they're currently married to an opposite sex partner. They may or may not have a bunch of kids. And now they've realized I never really got to explore my gender identity or my sexual identity. And now I think I'm bisexual, or now I think that I'm gay, or now I think I want to be poly. And I think it's like impacted from this young age of marriage.
Yeah.
Have you seen this happen a lot to people in your life?
I have. And I do think like, you know, to the, you know, open marriages or poly thing, I think that is a very legitimate expression of love and marriage. I do think that if you are a person who got married super young, but you do want to remain monogamous, but you also have this like, I didn't get to experience it.
Yeah.
So you try to like, you know, create this caveat to your marriage. I do see sometimes there being a little bit of like, challenges that come with that because like maybe you're like that those specific people aren't necessarily inclined to being open. Like there are some people who just like I've always wanted to be in an open relationship, or I've always been poly, and like I don't relate to that, but I like think that it's super legit. I don't really have much I can say about that because I just don't relate to it. But there are some people I think that feel pressure to like push the boundaries of what they're comfortable with in their marriages because they're like, I just didn't get certain things out of my system in quotations. Yeah.
And there's a term called like mixed orientation marriages. And that is when one partner is heterosexual and one partner is LGBTQ or any other things identifying that is not heterosexual. And they are still married to each other. So there's a statistic from Kinsey Institute that estimates 20% of US marriages involve some sort of mixed orientation dynamic. And there was recently a really interesting study on Mormons, and we'll put all the statistics in the episode notes so you know where to find them. So I'm not just like throwing out numbers. That 51% of Mormons entered a mixed orientation marriage, and there is a 69% divorce rate. And a lot of times bisexual people or gay people, especially raised in high control religions or anti-homosexual theology religions,
homophobic ones,
will just get married to a straight spouse out of pressure and just think like, well, I like them enough that like I can make it work.
Right.
And that can work your whole life. You know, kind of like the lavender marriage.
Yeah.
There's some people
you
talk
can have
about
a meaningful domestic partnership with someone without the like sexuality and romance to it.
And if your culture is hindering you enough, you may stay that way in that marriage and never tell anybody, or you may decide that you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've seen come out of a lot of my friends, maybe 10 years later.
Which is
after
so
being married.
devastating.
I know.
For everyone involved.
I know, but you know, you just can't marry away the gay.
Nope. Or pray it away.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things that can happen, just kind of like how we talked about, is I've heard a lot of people who get like married young or partnered like in a very serious relationship really young. is that they feel like they didn't get certain things out of their system, to put that in quotations. And I think that there is some legitimacy to that. And I will say that you definitely, if you want to give yourself a period of time to get some freak out of your system, you want to do that in your early 20s and not when you are in your 40s with 3 kids and a mortgage and all of those things. Like, I just feel like some of the better marriages that I have seen happened a little bit later with 2 people that like did not hinder themselves in their 20s.
Yeah.
Like they let it fly and they figured it out. And I remember when I was in a long-term relationship in my early 20s and we had both met in like evangelical like contexts. I remember thinking like, oh, like I have so much more I want to like try and explore and experience. And this person did too. And we cared quite a deal about each other. But I think that if we had chosen to get married, there would have been a lot of angst. Because to be honest, like that tension of wanting to try more things made me not treat this person as well as I think I could. Because I viewed them like they were holding me back, which is not their fault. Right. It is not somebody else's responsibility to provide for me what multiple people would require to like fill in my life. And I think that like for a lot of people, they have this idea like, oh, this one person like isn't satisfying me. Like I want to try this, this, and that. And then they kind of like, you know, ruin a perfectly good relationship because they have this idea that, or they have all these inclinations that they want to satisfy that they haven't yet. And they're frustrated that this person can't do that. Whereas like if you're a person who's like been ran through, as I said earlier, you know that like now that I have like had experience and like I'm very satisfied, like I've seen what I've got to see.
Yeah, like you're good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm so ready to settle down now. And I also am very comfortable with the concept that one person is not going to satisfy every one of my needs. And I didn't know that before when I was in my early 20s. But now I'm like, oh, if I want to create novelty in my life, I got to create that. I have to have a creative life outside of sexuality and romance. Like I have to have like creative passions and
Podcast.
a podcast. I need to skydive. I need to like, you know, do some scuba diving. I need to go ghost hunting. Like I need to get my thrill from something else aside from like blowing up a marriage. And like, but I don't think that like, I think in my 20s, I just assumed that that person was supposed to like fill all of those needs.
Well, I think that's what the church tells you.
Yes. And now I know better. And so now I honestly think that I could enter a relationship with a person that like, it was more like calm and like healthy and relaxed. And I would be like, awesome. That's what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for a person that was like everything.
Right.
Because I have all these facets. And I think that I am much more set up to go the long haul with someone now that I have more appropriate expectations of what you can ask of one person.
Yeah. I think it's such a bummer because a lot of us just didn't deconstruct as young as you did.
Yeah.
You know, so like
I got lucky because I got dumped young from someone. Yeah.
You get married.
It's interesting how the hard things in life you like look back and you're like, wow, I was saved.
Wow, we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, seriously.
So, you know, you get married at like 25 and you're super Christian. And then at 35, you're like, wait, this is all fake.
I know.
You know, that's kind of like what happened to me is I didn't even feel totally free to deconstruct until I was out of my marriage and away from the Christian company I worked for. And then I felt like, oh, now I can really do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but wait, I'm too scared.
Yeah.
Because I was like too far gone. You know, like it's kind of like a lot of Christians don't ever think that they'll get drunk because they're like taught, you know, you should never get drunk.
Yeah.
So then they're like always drunk driving.
Yeah,
Because they're like drunk, but they
it.
won't admit that they're drunk.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times I've been in a car where I was like, I shouldn't be in the car with this person. Like, but they told me a million times they were fine.
Yeah. Because they couldn't admit to it.
That does not happen with my LA atheist husband.
No.
You know, like
they just
he
tell
won't
their
even
friends, oh,
touch
I'm drunk
keys.
right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to Uber home.
Normal.
Yeah.
I think that same thing happens with sex. Like I've seen a lot of people get in really, really dangerous situations because they're so naive to like the dangerous situations you can get in. Because if you have never experienced them in your 20s, like culturally is more standard, when you're 40 and doing that,
Yeah.
it's like, it looks a little different because you're still naive at that age. It's just like confusing to the rest of the world too.
Yeah.
So it puts you in some difficult situations. And
Yeah.
I have seen many friends get in relationships with like open married people, you know, like just things that are like, I don't want to be judging anyone for anything. Like, do whatever you want. But it's also like, is this really what you want? Or are you
Right.
just
Like, where if
are
you're
you
being
just, like,
pressured to
going-
do it,
like
that's
they're the
not-
third kind of, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it works
not-
for some people. And
Yeah.
then some people I know only because I literally heard them say this. Like, it just like they wanted to be the kind of person
Yeah.
who was like free and did that kind of stuff. But they're like, it just wasn't for me. And that's okay.
And that just seems like the same trap as trying to make yourself be this perfect wife.
Yeah.
just
It's like the other side, two sides
but
of the
it's
same coin.
thing. Yeah.
Mhm, totally.
Okay, we do have a line called "Life After Divorce," which is probably for me.
Yeah.
I do think that getting divorced has its like scarlet letter in the church.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, you know, greeting me with sad, sorrowful eyes and, oh, I'm so sorry. And there's two different kinds of divorce. If you know anyone who's getting divorced or you meet someone and they say that they're recently getting divorced, you can say, oh, is this a congratulations divorce or is this an I'm sorry divorce?
I was going to ask you because if someone comes to me with that information, I don't want to like move past it. Like it's not a big
Yes.
deal. And I also don't want to like assume
Yes.
it's a big deal. I had a situation like recently about a different topic, but like similar thing where I'm
Yes.
like, I don't want them to think that I'm bypassing this, but I
Yeah.
also don't want them to think that I inherently believe this was devastating.
It's like the same that when someone tells you they're pregnant, you're
Yeah.
like, are you happy or
Yeah.
are we upset? You
Yeah,
know, like,
exactly.
You never know.
Yeah.
And so then you just want to like match their energy. But
Yeah.
I do think like no one needed to meet me with sorrowful eyes. Like I went through a dark time, but like that was appropriate.
Right.
But overall, I realized my life was much easier.
Yeah.
Like I was basically doing double the work
Yeah.
for two people, and then I did half the work for just me. So that was great.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard this quote, but back when Amy Poehler was married to Will Arnett and they got a divorce, she said this quote one time and she said like there are no good marriages that end in divorce. And I feel like that was like really helpful because it's like as hard as divorce is, you don't get divorced if you have a good marriage.
Yeah.
You might stay in a marriage if it's a bad marriage, but like in some ways divorce is like almost always like the right thing to do, even if it's like I know that sounds crazy, but like
Yeah.
not like that it's easy, but it's like like divorce is so logistically hard that if you had a marriage that was salvageable, but you were like jumping the gun on divorce, you'd probably get spooked out of it by all the paperwork and just like logistics. So if you are actually following through with it, it's a marriage that needed to end.
Yeah. And I mean, I would say that we came to a point 3 years prior
Yeah.
and decided to stay together, and I regret it.
Yeah.
So I regret like staying 3 years longer
Yeah.
because we were just trying to make it work, and that's noble to some extent.
I also think like I know that you have hindsight. I don't think that you should beat yourself up for that
No,
decision too, because
yeah.
marriages that do go the long haul are ones that just decide to stay together. That's like I feel like every couple I know who's been married 30 plus years, and you ask them what the secret is, they're never like, oh, I've been magically in love the whole time. It's basically
you just wake up every day to the same person
it's like
and
you
don't
just
get
keep
divorced.
saying yes, and you just keep forgiving, and you just keep deciding not to get a divorce. And every marriage I know, and this includes the good ones, had a period of time where they're like, we could have gotten divorced and it would have been legitimate if we did.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you decide not to as well. Like there are some people who decide not to, and they're like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't because we were able to like go through this. But that's not the case for everyone. It's hard to know.
Yeah. I think I did have some leaders in my life tell me that the reasoning I got divorced for was biblical. So
Okay.
that's good. It's a stretch.
Yeah.
Like nobody cheated.
Yeah.
But it was a stretch. But I felt nice about that.
Yeah.
They would probably argue with me about this, about its intention. I don't really think anyone listens, but I did work for a Christian nonprofit at the time. And when I decided to move to Minnesota and stay in Minnesota after my divorce, I had to like make that change with the company, and they demoted me. They said that I couldn't do my role remotely. I think it's because I got divorced.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And I mean,
I believe
I was
you.
looking for a new job, like basically right away. I wanted to leave,
Yeah.
but it was secure. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I believe you.
So I feel like I wore the scarlet letter more at work than I did anywhere else.
Yeah.
And that was difficult. And we worked together. I mean, he was basically asked to leave the company,
Yeah.
and then I stayed. So
And there are like, you know, I know that like, I'm sure like men experience some semblance of shame in divorce too. But historically, when King Henry VIII wanted to get
Really?
divorced, he just beheaded his wife. Like
Yeah.
they just,
I watched The Crown.
yeah, they just get rid of women. Like,
Yeah.
whereas like women who pursue divorce, which is a more historically recent ability that we've had, there's so much more shame, and I don't care for it. No one's leaving a marriage that's like hunky dory for them. Like it's a hard thing, and I'm really proud of you for
Thank
making
you.
that decision. Actually,
Thanks.
that would be, you know, if I'm being honest, as somebody who like would really, who's had a hard time in this single period, and if I did end up getting married soon, and this is possible, it's not like, oh, I like persevered through singlehood and now I get married, now it's going to be great. Like I could get married in a couple of years and then need to get a divorce. That is very possible. And following through with that would be really tough because it's something I really want to happen. And so to see that you got married, which is something you wanted to do and knew it wasn't right for you, and ended it, you're kind of badass.
Oh, thank you.
I'm really proud
And
of
I
you
got
for
married
that.
again, so really ruined the reputation.
Yeah, but he's so cool.
Yeah,
I love
true.
your current husband. He's
True.
such a great guy.
My current husband
Yeah,
is great.
your current husband. And I also think you have like a realistic approach to it. And I just like, I don't know, I've really admired that about you, because I know that you had said that like you got married when you were 30, correct? To the first time, which I know in like evangelical age is like older. So I'm sure that like to like leave that marriage was hard because you're like, I've already had to wait so long for
Yeah.
it. And the fact that you did that is just like, it's so cool.
Thank you. I do feel like the biggest thing it taught me was there are no guarantees in life.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to tell you when I knew that you were like really hoping to get married and really nervous about it. It was like, no matter what, there's no guarantee. Like you can meet the perfect man in the world, marry him, and then he loses his mind.
Yeah.
Like
or
people
passes away.
or yeah.
Yeah.
Or, like, and now that's my biggest fear. Like
Yeah.
I met the coolest guy. What if he dies? Like the first time I told him
one day he will. I hate to bring it to you. You
I
both
told him
will.
I loved him. It's because
Yeah.
I had like intrusive thoughts that he was going to leave for a concert and die. And I was like, I just need you to know that I love you. And he was like, okay.
They say that that's the side of a healthy marriage.
like
Is
so
like, I'm not
dramatic.
worried about them ever cheating or leaving. I'm worrying about them dying
Yeah.
one day. Yeah.
Like, I don't even know his phone password because I don't care. But
Yeah.
I'm worried he'll die.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it is so like, I mean, I've, you know, obviously when I talk about my parents, I do talk critically about some of the evangelical stuff, but like I had a wonderful dad, and my mom and his marriage was so
Aw.
wonderful, and they loved each other so much, and they had 10 wonderful years together, and then he passed away. And I'm sure that before that happened, there was probably this feeling of like, we've got this cookie cutter life and it's going to go the long haul.
Yeah.
And I think it had the bones too. But like life had different plans, and it ended up like going a different direction.
Yeah.
And that is, like, I hate to say it, it's always possible. There's just no
Right.
guarantee. And I think that there's this period of time, often in your like late 20s, early 30s, where your friends are married, they're having babies. Everyone seems like they caught the train out of the station, except for you if you're still single. But what you don't know is that half those people are going to get divorced,
Yeah.
or someone's going to happen. And I think it takes another 10 years to realize that there's just so many variations of things that happen. And none of us are guaranteed a linear path. And radical acceptance of like what is really like the only option you have to experience like true contentment. And there's just so much that's out of your control. And ultimately, like, we only can work with what we have in front of us right now.
Agreed. You know, marriage doesn't make you a failure or a success. And no matter what you're doing, I hope you're blessed. So blessed are the listeners, for they shall find freedom from the evangelical marriage industrial complex. You can find us on praisebetopod.com on the web, Praise Be to Pod on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube, which YouTube's popping off. So please listen there. All right. See ya.
It is finished.